Hello, welcome to Cosmic Coaching with Daniel. Today I'd like to speak with you about brain health intentions for 2018. So I teach all about how to optimize brain health and how to create a high performance brain using a variety of scientifically validated what I call brain health practices or brain healthy habits. Now I want to focus on about 5 different areas that I think are extremely important to focus on, and within these areas you can kind of develop and implement the correct practices if you want to achieve certain brain health goals. For instance, the first one we can talk about is microbiome. So it's an area that it's important for us to focus on because the gut microbiome health is intimately linked with brain health. And if you have a dysfunctional microbiome, can have leaky gut or candida or have a sluggish brain, or in fact end up with a cognitive decline in the future. So you really want to do the things that enhance your microbiome, get prebiotics, probiotics, get rid of toxic foods, refined foods, and do all the things that are good for your digestion, because this link is pretty amazing between your brain and your gut microbiome. They communicate 3 different pathways at least. So that's one area. Another area is reducing stress, relaxation techniques, and balancing your autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system has 2 branches: the parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest, and then there is the sympathetic, which we all know about, the fight or flight or freeze branch. And what happens is, in modern day society, most people are sympathetic dominant. So what you want to do is embody a lot of natural relaxation rituals every day. Find ways to reduce stress by reframing problems or perceiving things differently. Just doing practices that are good for balancing your nervous system, like yoga. That is very important because stress compromises your brain over the long term. The amygdala and hippocampus kills neurons faster, and it basically reduces neurological resources, so you can't think as clearly and be as focused when you've got too much stressors going on, especially chronic stress. Very damaging to the brain and the HPA axis, which is being chronically activated. Another area to focus on is brain biochemistry, boosting your biochemistry, because what happens when people don't have a good balance of biochemistry in their brain, they can either be anxious or hyperstimulated, or suffer from monkey mind, or be chronically depressed, or lacking motivation, or be in a bad mood. Most of that has to do with bottom-up stuff, which is, having not a good balance of neurotransmitters in the brain, like serotonin, dopamine, GABA, acetylcholine. Very important to get the biochemistry under control, because when it's not, our moods and our emotions can be all over the place, and we can lack focus and concentration and clarity. So how do you do that? Well, healthy sleep is important. Again, yoga is good for that. Cardiovascular exercise, if you can get into a high heart rate zone, extremely good for balancing the biochemistry. Some people say it's as good as antidepressants to go for a walk or do some aerobics. And then we can talk about creativity. So what is creativity? Well, people have talked about right brain versus left brain, logical, sequential, linear hemisphere versus the big picture, holistic, visionary, intuitive hemisphere, the right hemisphere. Well, that's a bit of a myth. It turns out there's 3 complex brain regions that interact together during different phases of the creative process. It's not as simple as right brain versus left brain. What you can do is you can find all these ways to boost creativity using, for instance, mind maps, or doing what's called mind wandering. It's like a systematic form of daydreaming. You can do all sorts of activities that help you to enhance the creative process and bring on more gamma band rhythms. Meditation is good, mindfulness. Audio brainwave entrainment CDs can be good for creativity, listening to music. So the creative process is not as simple as right brain versus left brain. That's a bit of a myth. And there's many things that can entice our creativity, which is, doing creative things, being with friends, doing hobbies, reading new books and materials. You really need to do the exploration phase of learning new material to actually be creative. You have to learn a repertoire of information before you can combine it in different ways, because that's really what creativity is about. People who make paintings and sculptures and music, poetry, they're combining the elements of their craft in different ways, but they've had to study it in depth. And the fifth area I'll talk about is protecting your brain. What are the neuroprotective practices we can use to protect our brain? Well, first of all, reducing electromagnetic frequency signals that are toxic to the brain and nervous system is very important. We've got smart meters, Wi-Fi, cell phones, dirty electricity, things like that, and also cordless phones. And when we've got too much of that, we're not able to protect ourselves, or we've got too much exposure, in the long run, it's going to damage our brain. It's going to hurt our nervous system. It's going to give us headaches. It's going to cause sleep issues. One thing we can do is have deeper sleeps, more sound sleeps, and getting more of the deep wave sleep and REM sleep, and getting enough hours of sleep is neuroprotective because your brain is cleansing at night. And of course, doing regular exercise is also neuroprotective. Okay, relaxing the nervous system, reducing stress is itself neuroprotective. So I hope that's been helpful. If you want more brain tips, you can click on the link below. I also do brain health consultations and holistic coaching. So thanks a lot. Have a great day. Cheers.